Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Bronson. I work with Michael Blanc at nighthawkequity.com as the Investor Relations Director. So today we're going to talk about a question that comes up commonly is, what money sources can I use to invest in real estate? So I'm here with the one and only Michael Blanc.
Hey, Bronson, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining. So what are some of the sources investors can use to invest in real estate?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one is cash or cash savings, right? That's the most obvious thing. It's also the most liquid. It's just in a bank account. You can quickly wire it. It's readily available, and most people think that that's the only thing they can use, and it's not quite true because you can also use things like stocks and bonds. A little more complicated because now you got to call your broker, and the broker's going to ask you, why do you want to sell these stocks and bonds? So you can get them into cash. And so a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. And so, a lot of times, and this is my advice to people, because most people are invested in mutual funds or stocks or ETFs of some nature. So the idea of pulling money from your financial advisor is a scary one. And I'm not saying you should pull all of your money out. I think you should consider investing in alternate investments such as multifamily syndications, because it's literally the best investment in the world. I mean, where else can you get cash flow, above average, consistent returns, and extraordinary tax benefits, right? So consider using part of your investment and investing in stuff like multifamily syndications that we're talking about here. Again, so the second one is stocks and bonds, but you got to call that financial advisor and tell them to sell, and they might ask you some questions, and that's another great source of capital.
Absolutely. We love some feedback how the conversation goes with you when you talk with your financial advisor. So another question that comes up is just that how can someone invest using their self-directed IRA, or can you buy real estate with some sort of retirement account?
Yes. Okay. So you asked about an IRA, and there's another thing that occurs to me about your previous question because so hold the IRA thought. Let me get that. The other source of funds could be lines of credit. Okay. So for example, some people have equity in their homes, right? You could get a line of credit against their home and use that to invest in. Now you got to be a little cautious with that. But typically these lines of credit are relatively cheap. The interest rate is relatively low. And presumably when you invest in something with a higher return, you can then bridge the gap. So that could be another source. I don't love that source, but just for completeness, I want to mention it. All right, so you mentioned IRA. So a lot of people know or don't know that you can actually use your 401k and your IRA to invest in something outside of the stock market. And it's called a self-directed IRA. And it's fairly simple, right? You basically open up an account with a self-directed IRA custodian, and there's many of them out there. Just type self-directed IRA custodian. And you then write a letter to your existing IRA administrator, say, I want to transfer a certain amount of money to the self-directed IRA custodian. And there's some paperwork involved, and all of a sudden there's a money transfer going to this essentially new account. Once that money is in there, you can then essentially direct that. So you fill out a form, you say, I want to invest in this LLC, in this multifamily syndication LLC, or I want to make a loan, or I want to buy this house. You can do I want to buy gold. You can do a variety of things at that point by filling out a piece of paper that instructs the custodian to wire money to a particular closing attorney, and now your IRA holds a certain investment or a share in an LLC. You just have to be careful. There's laws around that, and that is you have to be an arm's length, meaning you can't self-deal. You can't buy something where you get a direct or indirect benefit from the investment, and you can't touch the money that's coming from that. So for example, if there's a distribution made, that check has to be made out to the name of your IRA, and then that check has to be deposited in your IRA. You can't put it in your account and buy beer with it. You can't do that. So that you would be breaking various laws. But that's a great way to use your IRA or your self-directed IRA to invest in these kind of opportunities.
Awesome. Yeah, we get a lot of people using their self-directed IRA to invest in our Nighthawk deals, which is great. A lot of people don't realize they can do that. So having just the knowledge, even to know that you're able to do that, is pretty amazing. So one thing that we've discovered, I know, Michael, at Nighthawk, is this thing called a QRP, or a qualified retirement plan. Can you talk about what that is to our investors?
Yeah, this is really cool. This has been something that's been around, but no one has known about it. And I interviewed Damian Lupo about this on my podcast. I should have put the episode up, but he talked about this QRP. We have a page linking to his book. He literally is giving away this book for free, which is crazy. But to learn more about his QP, go to themichaelblanc.com/QRP, and you literally request his book for free, which is cool. So he's going to go into detail, but I'll give you the cliff notes, Bronson, okay? The QRP is super cool. The problem with a self-directed IRA is that there's a good chance you will actually get taxed on it. And this is really weird. I didn't discover this until like 10 years ago because I don't want to get in details. The bottom line is there's a good chance you're going to get taxed in your IRA. And that's something that most people are not expecting. And it makes them agitated and frustrated that they now have to pay taxes. They have to literally have to file a tax return out of their IRA. Not very pleasant. So to avoid that is you create something called a QRP trust. So it's a trust that's created in a different part of the tax code, and it costs a lot more to set up, but it's exempt from this what's called a QTIP, a qubit tax, okay? And so you do not have to pay tax out of the QRP. It's a main benefit. There's a couple other side benefits. Number one is I don't need a custodian to sign my paperwork. I can sign my own paperwork. Now, this seems like a small thing, but getting someone else to sign your documents can sometimes take days, and sometimes these transactions are happening really quickly. You having to wait for someone at the custodian to sign something is a problem. I can also borrow without penalty up to $50,000 from this trust, and I can use it for anything I want and repay myself. So there's a lot of advantages. So to find out more about that is you want to go to themichaelblank.com/QRP, and you can download Damien's book. And if you want, he'll set it up for you. He's a great guy, but really cool tool, and we're recommending it.
Yeah, I think also obviously too, the time to set this up is before there's a deal active, because
That's
honestly
right.
our deals fill up sometimes in 4 to 5 business days. It could take 2 weeks to kind of get some of this stuff set up. So if you're interested, do it now. If you have questions on that, you can also reach out to me, Bronson at nighthawkequity.com. I'd love to talk with you about that. So talk to us about, this question comes up about if I should have an LLC as an investor. You maybe have a certain level of net worth. Should I have my own separate LLC that does real estate, or should I just keep it in my own name?
Yeah, I mean, I can go back and forth on this stuff. I mean, you are a limited partner. You are protected by the LLC laws that you're investing in already. So from an asset protection standpoint, I could go both ways, honestly. I think there's other people who would say, hey, you should probably do this through an LLC. And that way, you also, in addition to some additional, I suppose, asset protection, there's some privacy that you can use in addition to that. Obviously, if you're investing through IRA, you already have an entity that's being used to invest in. I think really from a estate planning perspective, that you have a lot of benefits from an estate planning perspective. For example, you're using your trust to invest in certain things. That makes a lot of sense. Again, the best thing to do is to work with your attorney on that one. The tax situations and the personal situations, estate plan situations are so broad and varied that it's tough for me to answer this particular question. And I would definitely defer to people's professionals on this one.
Thanks for that. So if I'm an investor, I have money in my IRA, I have cash accounts, I have different types of accounts. What is the best type of funds or the preferred type of funds to use for an investor?
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's cash, right? So, and the reason for that is multiple. So when a deal happens, things move very rapidly. And the reason things move rapidly is because, like we'll put out a webinar or an email saying, hey, we have this deal. Please let us know if you're interested. Submit us your soft commit. How much would you like to invest? And sometimes these things fill up very quickly, and it's on a first come, first served basis, meaning that whoever gets to wire the money in first is in. And once we reach our cap, you can no longer invest. And some people feel frustrated by that process, but there's no other way to do it. If you are investing with an IRA, you are a bit of a disadvantage because of how slow things sometimes can take. So it's very important that you mentioned earlier, Bronson, is that you have the funds in the self-directed IRA. Even that will take some days to get the paperwork and the wiring done. So it's better to have cash. Typically, we'll work with the IRA investors, especially if we know them. This is very important, right? Because if you tell us you're going to invest and you don't invest, we're probably not going to invite you to invest again, okay? But if we know that you're going to invest, you've done it before, we know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, then we will essentially carve that out for you, even past the deadline. So we might say, okay, everybody's in, but there's Frank, and we know his $50,000, $100,000 is coming, and we will wait for him until a certain point, right? So we will work with the IRA investor.
Awesome, Michael. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes today. Just so excited for our group that's watching right now. A couple next steps for you. Maybe you're not sure if this is right for you. Maybe you're just kind of poking around and feeling what this would look like. We have a report on themichaelblank.com/report. and it basically compares the stock market and other forms of investing to multifamily syndicated real estate. So take a look at that. If you are interested in investing, you're looking for deals, go to nighthawkequity.com/join, and you can schedule a call with us. We'll get to know you, start a relationship where we can invest together. So we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.
All right, cool. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you download that special report. That's right here. All right. Make sure you subscribe to this channel because we're putting out stuff every week. And hey, here's another video for you.